Hello YouTube, we are on the Real Programming channel. It is about HTML and CSS. My name is Andrei. This is our 54th lesson. I greet you. We will talk about getting ready for some major renovations. After only a few pages of this chapter, you already have a ton of text style on the new long. Congrats! Now things are going to get really interesting. We are going to move from changing simple properties of elements like size, color and decorations to really tweaking. Really tweaking some fundamental aspects of how elements are displayed. This is where you move up to the big leagues. But to move up to the big leagues, you got to know the box model. What's that? It's how CSS sees elements. CSS treats every single element as if it were represented by a box. Let's see what that means. From the perspective of CSS, every element is a box. Every box is made of a content area along with optional padding, border and margins. The content area holds the content, text or an image. For instance, the content area is surrounded by optional transparent padding. An optional border can be placed around the padding, and finally an optional transparent margin surrounds everything. All elements are treated as boxes, paragraphs, headings, block quotes, list item and so on. Even line elements like em and the links are treated by CSS as boxes. A closer look at the box model. You are going to be able to control every aspect of the box with CSS, the size of the padding around the content, whether or not the element has a border, as well as what kind of how large and how much margin here there is between your element and other elements. Let's check out each part of the box and its role. What is the content area? Every element starts with some content, like text or an image, and this content is placed inside a box that is just big enough to contain it. Notice that the content area has no white space between the content and the edge of this box. The content area holds the element's content. It's typically just big enough to hold the content. We've drawn an edge around the content area just so you know how big it is, but in a browser there is never a visible edge around the content area. The browser adds optional padding around the content area. What is the padding? Any box can have a layer of padding around the content area. Padding is optional, so you don't have to have it, but you can use padding to create visual white space between the content and the border of the box. The padding is transparent and has no color or decoration of its own. The browser adds optional padding around the content area. Using CSS, you are going to be able to control the width of the padding around the entire content area, or even control the padding on any one side, top, right, bottom or left. What is the border? Notice that the padding separates the content area from the border. Using CSS, you are going to be able to control the weight, color and style of the border. What is the border? Elements can have an optional border around them. The border runs around the padding, and because it takes the form of a line around your content, provides visual separation between your content and other elements on the same page. Border can be various weights, color and styles. Using CSS, you are going to be able to control the weight of the entire margin or of any particular side, top, right, bottom or left. What is the margin? The margin is also optional and surrounds the border. The margin gives you a way to add space between your element and the other elements on the same page. If two boxes are next to each other, the margins act as the spacing between them, like padding margins, are transparent and have no color or decoration of their own. This is the entire element. We have a content area surrounded by optional padding, surrounded by optional border, surrounded by optional margin. Content padding, border, and margin. What you can do to boxes. The box model may look simple with just the content, some padding and border and margins, but when you combine this all together, there are endless ways you can determine the layout of an element with its internal spacing, padding, and the spacing around its margins. Take a look at just a few examples of how you can vary your elements. Boxes. First, you can style a box to have padding, a border, and a margin, or just padding the border, or just border, or a margin with no border and no padding. Or you can have solid borders, thick or thin, or no border at all, or choose from 8 different styles of border like dashed, or color your borders, or even create rounded corners on your borders. With CSS you can control padding on any side of the content area. Here we've got a lot of left and right padding, and here there's a lot of top and bottom padding, and here the content is offset to the bottom right with padding on the top and left. You have the same level of control over the margins. Here there's a lot of top and bottom margin, and here's a lot of left and right margin. And with padding you can specify all sides indefinitely to create margins like this. In content area you can even control weight and height in a variety of ways. Here content areas has been made wide, and here is the content areas is tall but thin. There are no dumb questions. It seems like knowing this box stuff would be important if someone creating this software for a web browser, but how is this going to help me make better web pages? To go beyond simple web pages that use the browser's default layout, you need to be able to control how elements sit on the page, as well as the related position of other elements. To do that, you alter various aspects of each element's padding and margin. So to create interesting web page designs, you definitely need to know something about the box model. What's the difference between padding and margin? They seem like the same thing. The margin provides space between your element and other elements, while padding gives you extra space around your content. If you have a visual border, the padding is on that side of the border and the margin of the outside. Think of padding as a part of element, while the margin surrounds your elements and buffers it's from the things around it. I know they are all optional, but do you need to have padding to have a border or a margin? No, they are all totally optional and don't rely on each other. So you can have a border and no padding, or a margin and no border, and so on. I'm not sure I get how elements get laid out and how margin fit into that. Hold that thought while you're going to see a little of how margins interact with other elements on this chapter. We'll get way into this topic in chapter level when we talk about position. So other than size, it sounds like I can't really style padding and margins. That's basically right. Both are used to provide more visual space, and you can give the padding or margin a direct color or any kind of decoration. But because they are transparent, they will take on the color of any background colors or background images. One difference between padding and emergence is that the element's background color of background image will extend under the padding, but not the margin. You'll see how it works in a bit. Is the size of the content area determined solely by the size of the content in it? Browsers use several rules to determine the weight and height of the content area, and we'll be looking at that more in depth later. The short answer is that while the content is the primary way, the size of an element is determined. You can set the weight and height yourself if you need to control over the size of the element. And when we'll back at long, we'll talk about this in the next lesson. And this is our 54 lesson over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Put likes, share with friends, comment. Please help me. Eat bananas, chocolate and nuts. Drink more water for the effective work of our brains. Bye.